Ready to go a little bit early, so why not get us underway? Game number 1 going directly to Infernal Shrines, Creatures of the Night versus Team LizHorn. It's going to be a best of 3 series here in the Division 2 of Chair League. First pick, first ban going over to Team LizHorn, which will be your team on the right. They're two of our better ranked teams here in Division 2 this season. Infernal Shrines, where wave clear is always a premium, and so instantly we'll see one of the best wave clear heroes in the game banned out right away, the Gul'dan. Also, worth mentioning that we've seen a lot of support priority right now in this current meta. So wouldn't be surprised to see the Ariel ban out in response. It's been a pretty constant Ariel ban kind of format. But there are a lot of options still up on the table here for Creatures of the Night to go ahead and ban out. Could also decide to deny the global Dahaka. It's been a pretty common ban out. He's also got good wave clear, good solo lane ability. All around solid hero right now. We've also seen some Anubarak prioritization. So it just kind of depends on what Creatures of the Night have up their sleeve, what they're wanting to build here, and specifically what they don't want to go against. The Tassadar, also something we see banned out fairly often. He's got pretty good wave clear. And the Insta-Snap Sylvanas pick here for Team LizHorn, a very early prioritization on the Sylvanas. Does have the nice ability to aid in the Punisher push with that Black Arrow passive, being able to shut down the towers and allow you to get more value out of an otherwise fairly weak objective mechanic in the Punisher. But Dahaka going to be coming out as that snap pick in response here from Creatures of the Night. We have one more pick coming up here. Wouldn't be surprised to see a support coming out, but again, they could decide to start prioritizing the wave clear, and they are going to go ahead and grab themselves Uther. One of the strongest healers in the game. Definitely burst heal oriented, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, we see quite a lot of Uther being played. USA, indeed. You know, why not? Why not USA? And we are turning it on. We're turning it up to 11 tonight for some Chair League action. We got one match here. And in about an hour, we got our sister team, Reborn Knights Black, playing in Chair League. And then all the way to 9 o'clock tonight, we got our own match coming up for Reborn Knights Red. So we'll be playing tonight. Looking to improve to 5-2. On the season. So Kael'thas going to be the pickup here for LizHorn, along with Rhaegar. So prioritizing the wave clear so far. Sylv, KT, Rhaegar, they all have very good wave clear potential. KT, maybe other than Gul'dan, KT has one of the strongest wave clear mechanics in the game. Rhaegar, definitely the best potential for wave clear of any support hero, with that double lightning shield talent at level 1, the lightning bond can get quite a lot of wave clear value when trying to clear up these shrines. We also see a high prioritization of Rhaegar on Battlefield of Eternity for the same reason, that PvE damage. He's also a good camp taker. You can send Rhaegar out to solo a camp if you don't really have another hero that you want to do that with. Sylvanas, though, just as good, if not better, at clearing out those camps. Ban coming up here for Creatures of the Night, probably applying some sort of frontline chokehold. There it is. So Sonya, one of the best shrine clearers in the game. strong sustain on those shrines with that whirlwind and all that self-sustain that she can get in those big, packed, tight areas. The Malthael being covered here for the side of LizHorn. Kind of foreshadowing that they may be trying to go with more frontline heavy comp for those last 2 picks. Could be a Cho'Gall, though I don't really see that. And I don't know that would be the call here. But whenever you see that Malthael ban, Malthael, Greymane, any of those kind of heroes, you kind of start to wonder, is it going to be a Cho'Gall? But more likely, it's just a front line, a double front line. If you got 2 tanks up in that front line, you don't really want to see Malthael on the other side. He's also just really strong in the meta right now. A lot of self-sustain on these shrines, able to get extra healing from all the shrine minions. So Malthael, pretty solid ban out here. Definitely want to see some ranged damage coming out here for creatures of the night. They don't necessarily have to pick their ranged damage carry right here, but if they're going to get a sustained damage dealer, now would be the time if they want the Vala or the Genji. The Nubarak also coming out. They'll get that frontline tank completing their double tank comp here before the side of Team LizHorn can grab any tanks in these last 2 picks. Getting the pick of the litter here with the Nubarak. So much CC on the front. It's ridiculous. Question for the side of Creatures of the Night, though, is who's going to be the major damage dealer? Genji does a good job of being mobile, getting some annoying poke damage out, but at the end of the day, he's not very good at globaling a hero from 100 to 0. He's mainly used to get in there and get finishers, get finishing kills. So they have good finishing potential with Genji, but they need something to set it up in the damage department. They don't have that big beefy damage dealer yet. Speaking of beefy, here comes the Diablo and the Ragnaros. That front line showing up. I love Diablo on this map. He's got so many good qualities in his kit for Infernal Shrines. He's got decent wave clear for a tank, but also there's so many terrain pieces on this map for you to be able to charge into and get those stuns out. Ragnaros, of course, also very solid wave clear hero. That Molten Core ability to really negate a lot of what a Punisher push can do if your opponent happens to capture one. Burbiach 64, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. I think I actually need to get my Twitch alerts up here. Otherwise, I don't know if that'll show. Steam labels, there we go. We got it. We got it, team. We did it. One last pick, and it is going to be that Greymane. So, probably the Cursed Bullet, I would imagine. Again, you don't really think of Greymane as a, chunker so much. Not to say that he can't chunk people down, especially post 10 with that Cursed Bullet. If you want to focus on the Diablo or the Ragnaros up front, you can collapse in on him, focus that damage in, and try and kill him. But we'll see. I'm a little worried for Creatures of the Night. I feel like they don't have a ton of damage here, but we'll see if they can go ahead and prove me wrong. Ryan R. There's no T in there. Thank you for the follow. But Greymane always a good hero, very generic, solid hero. Not to mention that they do have the Uther and Genji combo for that Divine Dragon Blade. Meanwhile, over for Team LizHorn, they've got a lot of wave clear, they've got a lot of damage. I think they're losing a little bit in the healing department, but Rhaegar a little bit more sustained healing, Uther a little bit more burst healing. They're not necessarily worse or better. It's just a little different. His Lulum. Thank you very much for the follow. Sorry if I'm butchering your all's names. It was bound to happen eventually. All right, we are loaded in here for game number 1 of this Division 2 Chariot League match. Creatures of the Night are going to be your team on the left. Never Sleep going to be playing the Greymane. Gangsta Face on the Anubarak. Danu going to be playing the Genji. Hizaloium is going to be playing the Uther. And Kakarot on the Dahaka. On the right, team LizHorn Defender going to be playing the Ragnaros. Tanzer is going to be playing the Diablo. Couch on the Kael'thas. Ryan Rod on the Rhaegar. And the Wade going to be playing Sylvanas. So right away, both teams deciding to go ahead and rotate out away from the mid here. Playing very safe, these two teams. Maybe not too familiar with each other. Maybe not wanting to risk anything early. Just want to make sure they get that lane soak. And they will indeed. 3-man rotation to the mid here for Team LizHorn. They will clear that up in short order and rotate on down to the bottom. Deciding not to go with any of the Sylvanas cheese, Ryan Rod actually jumps in with that Feral Lunge. Going to get poked down for it, but they do get a lot of return damage onto Danu and Hizaloium. I'll get it eventually, Uther, I promise. Uther does go down, though. It's going to be first blood going over to the side of Team LizHorn. The aggression paying off there for the side of LizHorn. Looks like they're going to rotate 3, but keep Sylvanas in the bottom. I like it. They're not going to miss much XP that way. Still going to be able to pressure in the bottom and help Sylvanas. I like teams that rotate. They've got a rotational plan. As soon as it's all cleared up in the mid, while Anubarak's struggling on a little bit, we'll start rotating down towards the bot. Danu waiting, keeping an eye out. Get a little bit of poke damage, but look at Ryan Rod and Tanzer. The aggression coming out there. Be able to force him to swift strike his way on out of there. Meanwhile, Shrine is activating in the bottom lane. In the top, Kakarot going to stick around for a little while. Nice thing about having a global there is while your team regroups and starts to head in towards the Shrine, you can just stay out and soak. But right now, Creatures of the Night not really showing any interest in this Shrine. Team LizHorn going to get about halfway there before we even see creatures show up here. It will eventually come in here, but look at the damage coming out onto Danu already. Ryan Rod gets in there with that lunge. Gangsta Face gets caught off by Tanzer, and that's going to be another pick going over to the side of Team LizHorn. Dahaka also falling as he brush talks his way on in. And the rest of Creatures of the Night going to have to back out, or it's going to be more picks. But there's one thing to be happy about here if you are Creatures of the Night. Sylvanas goes down in response. So no extra black arrow push here. We'll bait this over the wall, and the turrets will still be actively killing off this Punisher. But they still get the front wall. Pretty much all you can really expect to get off of that. Interesting level 1 talent here. Merc Queen coming out from the Wade. I'm going to be looking to get a little bit of extra damage off of those Merc Camp captures. I don't often see Merc Queen here on Infernal Shrines, so that's a new one on me. Let's see if it works out. We also got the Flame Strike quest coming in from KT, but 5 so far. Hasn't lost any. No deaths yet coming for Couch. But, you know, slow but steady wins the race as long as he's playing careful. But look out. Here comes the side of Creatures of the Night coming around the back. They might be looking to reset those stacks. Danu's certainly focused on it. Never Sleep will jump in with that Dark Flight, and there it is. KT is going to have those stacks reset as Creatures of the Night pick up their second kill here in game number 1. Defender and Kakarot back to the top. Definitely an advantage going over to Ragnaros in this lane. And it is showing. Able to push a couple of minions up into the wall here. Not going to be too much damage, but Kakarot's going to have to hit the B button. Meanwhile, rotation to the mid, Gangsta Face. Have to use that burrow charge defensively here to get on out. Danu, though, going on the Wade. Get a little bit of poke damage out. Oh, but Gangsta Face not respecting these spear throwers. Nexus Force is OP. And that was before Sylvanas even got here to empower them. Now all of a sudden we got the Shrine in the mid. About a level lead here for the side of Team LizHorn. They're taking full advantage of that wave clear as they jump right onto the Shrine. And look at that, already 15 minions here. Creatures of the Night are clearing out the lanes, though. They're getting a little bit of XP out of it. Kakarot rotating from the top. Coming in. Gets the drag, but Tanzer with a nice shadow charge to release Ryan Rod from that tongue drag. All the while, Defender getting very low there. Will be taken out. Ton of damage coming out from Couch. Getting some stacks. It will be the Living Bomb that takes down Greymane here. Danu swift striking all over the place. Not going to be able to stay alive, though, and this is going to end up going over to the side of Team LizHorn as a 4-for-1 exchange. Very patient team fight there from Team LizHorn. They backed up. They were able to get the advantage, and all of a sudden, now you've got a Punisher, you've got level 10, you've got Sylvanas to aid in this Punisher push. Meanwhile, all the members of Creatures of the Night are just now coming back into the mid, and this fort is pretty much forfeit at this point. The towers are not shooting, they're not helping you at all here. And without level 10, it's a dangerous world to try and defend here. Gangsta Face will bait it over the wall. They're going to try and pull the Punisher up towards that top keep. Going to get it a little way up there. Meanwhile, the side of Team LizHorn just going to focus on that. Dahaka falls in the top lane to Ragnaros there. It's going to be another thing to cheer about here if you are a fan of Team LizHorn. 9-3 so far. 2-level lead for Team LizHorn. And the win more mechanic here on the Sylvanas really starting to show as they are getting these Punishers and these camps and the split pressure. Meanwhile, 4-man commitment to the top to go ahead and grab this. Creatures of the Night missing out on a little bit of wave clear here, a little bit of soak. But Ragnaros ends up going down in the top lane there. We're able to get that pick. But meanwhile, the camp has been picked up in the bottom, and the Sylvanas cheese is real. Also, yeah, it's a lot of good wave clear and siege potential, right? You know, you got double lightning shield coming in from Ryan Rod with that talent. KT does all kinds of siege damage. It's totally insane how much he can do, and you can see it's jumping back and forth between Ragnaros and Syl, but KT's also got some good numbers, as well as the, I mean, nobody's below 24 here. We only got 2 members above that over on the other side. And meanwhile, the web wrap has been put out, and look who's on the chase all of a sudden. Creatures of the Night. Looking to isolate. They do get the Diablo. First bullet's going to come out, and Tanzer life is going to be forfeit here. There's just no way that he's going to make it out of there. The D-Shield coming out onto Danu, trying to help him re-engage here. That ends up being mostly wasted. No real damage in those 3 seconds, but Ryan Rod, however, not able to escape fast enough there. That's going to end up being 2 picks going over to the side of Creatures of the Night. Diablo comes back here. But this is going to end up being a 4v5 should Dahaka brush stalk his way on in here. Tanzer going in deep. He does not have the souls, but he does have the APOC, and that's going to be a nice APOC in that corridor. He'll pay with his life, but look at the Sulfuris smash coming out. Going to take down the Genji. What, 2-for-1 exchange there. Diablo giving his life, but worth, I would say. Look at Kakarot getting in here. Couch is in all kinds of trouble. Defender going to speed him up a little bit on the retreat. Ryan Rod has returned at this point, and all of a sudden this is becoming an all-out brawl for the Shrine, but a nice advantage here so far for Team LizHorn. They should be able to get this without too much trouble. Gangstaface completing that B. And now this is a rough moment here for Creatures of the Night. They did have a good couple of picks there, but Team LizHorn keeping their head on straight. Good composure here to be able to just turn around, focus on the Shrine. Now they've got their Arcane Punisher. Diablo is going to be a little late to the party, but they've got 4 members here. Level 13 gets picked up by Creatures of the Night, but they still do have that 1 level advantage. And they've got the Sylvanas advantage as well, being able to shut down these towers. So right away, not focusing on the team fight, the side of Team LizHorn, just focusing on the siege damage potential. All the while, the Punisher starts to go down, but look who's pushing right past this Punisher, and the damage is real, but a good return. Sulfura smashed by Defender. We end up getting Uther, but that's not exactly the kill target you want. Uther and his Ghost are going to come out and heal the crap out of Creatures of the Night as they turn around on this one. They'll be able to get 2 members. Does Genji go too far? Not really. Still, overall, I think that's a win for Team LizHorn. They get the bottom fort. They're going to have these catapults spawning for the rest of the game. Overall, I'll take a 2-for-1 exchange to get some catapults spawning at the 11-minute mark. Hell yes. Thank you very much.
New follower detected.
Zuardo Hots Gaming. Thank you very much for the follow. Our fellow Hots gamer. Hope you're enjoying the show. I certainly am. Level 16 being enjoyed here by Team LizHorn. Good Kakarot, though. Just patiently waiting in the bushes here. Chinese bush meta. He's just getting the XP. Wade completely out of mana here. Gonna have to back up. This bottom lane's gonna have to be answered to pretty consistently for the rest of the match here for Creatures of the Night. You can see a couple of these catapults already stacking up here in the bot. In the top, we got Shaman Camp versus Shaman Camp. Patient play by Kakarot. He knows he can't see where the enemy team is, but there it is, the bang in the bottom. All of a sudden, he knows they're at that bottom camp, so I'll go ahead and start clearing. Drags the Shaman around a little bit. Be able to clear that up. Side of Team LizHorn rotating up. Let's look at these builds a little bit. Full Flame Strike build, more or less, coming in here from Couch. Shadow Dagger build coming in from the Wade. Otherwise, it seems pretty standard. You know, Cocktail, Curse Bullet. The Uther talents are pretty obvious. Earth Shield, Colossal Totem. Level 16, just a smidgen away here for the side of Creatures of the Night. We're going to be able to get this just in time for the Shrine to activate. And I think we're going to have ourselves an even 16-16 fight. I mean, it may be 16-17, but it'll at least be on the same talent tier. Team LizHorn is here on the Shrine, ready to get started. Kakarot flanking from the top, and here we go. Tanzer will go ahead and charge in onto the Genji. Apoc coming out. It's going to hit a few members, and the Ragnaros follow-up there. That Sulfura Smash is going to completely delete Uther. Yet again, Uther's Ghost will be here to heal a little bit, but I think it's too little too late. Team LizHorn has gotten themselves a ton of damage. Gangstaface has gone completely off the rails here. Charging forever and a day after the Wade. Will not be able to complete that pick either. Even throwing the spray down here, Tanzer. Giving him the business here in the mid. The Punisher jumping on Danu, going to give him the business. Meanwhile, this keep is going to be completely annihilated by the siege potential here from Team LizHorn. Punisher starts to walk in towards the core. Going to get some stuns out. And Dahaka isolated pretty well there. We'll be able to use those burrowing claws to get on out, but they are going to refocus on the core a little bit. Actually, they're going to refocus on getting the hell out of here. I'm going to go ahead and back up. 2-level lead secured here. No reason to get too risky with all 5 members of Creatures of the Night up. I like the patient play coming out here from Team LizHorn. They knew they needed a couple of picks to really be able to make that happen. They couldn't get the pick on Dahaka. They couldn't get the pick on anybody else when the Punisher jumped. So as soon as that Punisher goes down, they back right on out. I like it. I like it a lot. Meanwhile, Creatures of the Night doing what they can. I'm going to go ahead and clear up the camps here. Meanwhile, rotation coming in from Team LizHorn. They are coming in hot to this top structure. And again, with the Sylvanas, they can easily take this top fort. But this could be the last opportunity for Creatures of the Night to really be able to engage them. Gangstaface knows that. He will burrow charge in. They get the stun out. The web wrap goes down, but Couch will receive a well-timed Ancestral right at the last moment. Danu gonna end up being the first one falling, but he does trade out for Rhaegar, and Ragnaros also goes down here. So far, it's a 3 for 2, and Death's coming in everywhere. The Wade getting super low, and Never Sleep able to finish him off. And all of a sudden, it's just Tanzer. He is able to get the kill onto a Nubarak there. But Tanzer fighting for his life. Never Sleep so low. Able to stay alive, though. We'll be able to back up. And what a team fight. We're going to see that end up being a 3 for 5 in the favor of Creatures of the Night, just when they needed a big team fight. And you look now at the level advantage, it is more or less gone. Especially with the wave so far pushed out here. Creatures of the Night can just go ahead and clean all of this up. Be able to get to that level 20 right around the same time. Kakarot going to go ahead and get this shrine started. They want a Punisher. This would be their first Punisher of the game for the side of Creatures of the Night. Then you see Team LizHorn starting to file back in. Meanwhile, we see the catapult pressure filing in to the core of Creatures of the Night. They got to be careful. They can't be baited in here too long into this team fight. Health bars really high here for Team LizHorn. They are going to go back into the fight, though. Kakarot going in, the web wrap going down, a huge wailing arrow, and the APOC in response here, only going to catch a couple. Big team fight win here for Creatures of the Night. They get 3 picks, but their core is under assault here. Catapults line it up, and they are going to start chunking the core down. They send Kakarot back to defend this, but they are going to lose a ton of health off of their core. Still 3 of these catapults shooting. They got to stop the catapult pressure. Going to get one more shot off. Looks like 32. 32%. Not the end of the world. Meanwhile, the Punisher over here. I'm going to jump on Tanzer. I'm going to bait it backwards a little bit. Danu not quite in position to take advantage of that. Risky business here for the side of Creatures of the Night. They make a gamble. They get 3 picks. They lose a ton of health off of their core. Going to be a rough coming back from that one, but they can get back into the wave clear game here. They can start to get some camp pressure with the man advantage that they've had here. Meanwhile, the side of Team LizHorn is going to get back to rolling around as 5. Going to get back to the macro game that they've been dominating throughout most of this one. Both teams getting back onto the camps. Level 20 picked up by both of these teams here. Key here, don't get caught out. These teams are rolling together because they do not want to have anyone get caught alone. Dahaka actually up in the top, just kind of scouting out, making sure no one rotates in on that camp. But we will see Kakarot actually coming in. They are going to turn this into an engage. The Dragon Blade coming out, not getting the D-shield, but not really needing it either. start to get some serious pressure out. Tanzer able to come out of that web wrap. Meanwhile, Never Sleep is the one being focused here. And the APOC is going to be enough to finish him off here. Uther also going to end up going down. Gangsta Face falls. Danu trying to turn it into some kills, but he ends up getting blown up. And all of a sudden, Team LizHorn punishing the over-aggression here from Creatures of the Night. That was a fight that they felt like they could take. And re-killing Uther off of that redemption. That's a big moment here for the side of Team LizHorn. These death timers are long, and the core already at 32%. This should be game. They're waltzing towards the mid lane here, aiding the push of this. It's just a Haka left to try to defend here. Going to let him go ahead and burrow his way on out of there. And that is going to be it. Game 1 goes over to Team LizHorn here on Infernal Shrines. Impressive performance throughout the whole game here by Team LizHorn, for sure. They lost a couple of late team fights, but again, it's the composure coming out from these guys. They knew that they were going to be able to reset and do a nice job of just backing up a little bit. Not worrying too much about the couple of lost team fights. You know, it's really not a big deal. We'll go ahead and report this win for them. And there it is, 1-0, Team LizHorn. Let's see where we're going for round number 2. A lot of damage coming out from Defender on Ragnaros there. 73k hero damage, 117k siege damage. They're able to get a lot of really impactful Sulfurous smashes as well. Now, a little bit of a strange comp, I think, coming out from Creatures of the Night. I usually would prefer to see... I'd usually prefer to see something more burst damage oriented, or something that chunks a little better to go with the Genji, because Genji needs to be set up for picks. You usually can't go in and do it all alone. And Greymane, with that cocktail build later game and the Cursed Bullet, can start to chunk members, but it's hard to wait until level 10 to start being able to get picks with the comp that you have.
Detected.
Anime Wolf, thank you for the follow. Meanwhile, you know, it was just a well-rounded comp in general with that win more strategy for the side of Team LizHorn. A lot of damage, a lot, you know, the front line to be able to zone for the damage, and then Rhaegar, just a good consistent healer. You know, we saw pretty high hero damage numbers from Ragnaros, KT, and Sylvanas, and Diablo for that matter, 40k, whereas you know, Greymane 39k, Dahaka 37, and Genji 51. It's just not as much damage. You know, it's not, and you have it's harder to play that style where you got to just focus one member down at a time. You got to have really good focus damage. So I think it's just a little bit more difficult style of comp that Creatures of the Night was trying to pull off there. All right.
New follower detected.
Casey Mod, thank you very much for the follow. Much appreciated. As always. Now, looks like these guys are filing on in to our second lobby. We're going to see Tomb of the Spider Queen coming out here for our game number 2. Map choice of Team LizHorn. Personally, it's one of my favorite maps. Again, wave clear, a very high priority, but the big difference here in Tomb of the Spider Queen versus Infernal Shrines is you also have to have good interrupt potential. Being able to stall out these turn-ins on Tomb of the Spider Queen is very important. Vision talents can be really helpful to let you know where the enemy team is roaming. We saw when Zagara was in the height of her popularity, we saw her very popularized on this map because of all the vision that she can give with that creep spread. Let's see. His Leolum over on the side of Creatures of the Night. That's gotta be the hardest name. Well, we are going in game number 2 here. Share League Division 2. Casey Mod, I think I may have missed a follow in there. Thank you very much for the follow. First pick, first ban, going over to Creatures of the Night. Let's see what they can come up with here on Infernal Shrines. Again, wave clear, going to be one of the first things you look at. Stitches is going to be the ban out here. Very popularized style of play here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. There are a lot of nooks and crannies for Stitches to be able to hook people into over walls or in general just anywhere in a lot of these corridors. It can be hard to dodge a hook here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So we do see a lot of people running that here. Gives you the ability to also try and focus somebody that has a particularly large amount of gems. Stitches can be good for displacement there. Garrosh also a similar style of play with trying to get people out of position. You hit that wrecking ball, throw somebody with a lot of gems out of place. Makes it easy for your team to focus them down and leave those gems on the floor. Yes, Papa, we do. Here. I'll just go ahead and link it. You'll see this before I get around to a respawn. Or maybe it's brackets. What did I do? Oh. It's not Backet, it's bracket. There it is. Ariel going to be the first pickup here for Creatures of the Night. Didn't see Ariel in that last one. Kind of surprising. She's a very popular hero in the meta right now, so would normally expect to see her first picked like this more often, but this is a good map for her. Good sustained healing, always essential here. Meanwhile, Malthael and Uther coming out here from Team LizHorn. Making a statement with those first couple of picks. They are coming for you. Uther again, always wanting to end team fights fairly quickly. Meanwhile, Trinity complete here. Vala and Tassadar coming out, so Creatures of the Night also not holding back what they're trying to do. Against Malthael, you mainly want to pick good ranged comp. You don't want too many frontline. You want to be able to spread out so that Malthael doesn't get quite as much value from that passive and his sustainability. Varian going to be picked up here, or banned out, I should say, by Team LizHorn. Varian, good for helping with focus targets. Also, in general, he's got pretty low HP throughout the first half of the game until he gets to that level 10 and that taunt ultimate. So, an interesting way to actually approach countering Malthael that I had thought of was the Varian. So, Diablo banned here for the side of Creatures of the Night. The Respect ban. Didn't like the way that Diablo went up against him last time, so they'll just get rid of it this time around. Two picks coming up here for the side of Team LizHorn. Probably would want to see a tank pick up here. We know that Creatures of the Night are going to be picking up a tank on their next rotation, so you can get your pick of the litter like an Anubarak. Rhaegar going to be the choice once again, and they're going to go straight to the Kael'thas, so we're going to save that tank pick for last. Go ahead and pick up the big damage coming in from behind again from the KT. They liked how that worked out the last time. I like the choice of KT here, actually. The Gul'dan is an option, but we've already got Malthael, who is a dot damage dealer. KT's damage is all up front. So, well, it's mostly up front. Whereas Gul'dan is all dot damage. Having two dot damage dealers against double support can be super rough, so they'll go with the KT instead. KT is also a natural counter to Ariel. You want to group up for Ariel heals, and KT punishes the crap out of that. Gul'dan could still be an option for the side of Creatures of the Night, however. I'm going to go with the Johanna for that frontline damage. Going to be a little bit rough against the Malthael, but instead they're going to go to the Chromie. So good focus damage, good ranged group, good ranged group of heroes here, so that Malthael can't get too much value. I like the draft from the side of Creatures of the Night coming out. A lot more in this match, that's for sure. A lot more in this game. Good understanding of just in general what they needed to do to not be mowed down by that Malthael. The one struggle they may have here is the fact that there's little to no CC over on the side of Creatures of the Night to be able to set up the Chromie damage. The Chromie is going to be trying to hit spells without much help, and that can be kind of rough. That can be kind of literally hit and miss. Meanwhile, Anubarak going to be the pickup for the side of Team LizHorn as their frontline tank. Going to be able to dive in and help Malthael with his dive potential. Overall, a pretty solid draft coming out from both of these squads. I like both comps quite a lot here. I wouldn't give one team an inherent advantage over the other just coming out of the draft. Full double support. I actually didn't notice Rhaegar and Uther coming out over on the side of Team LizHorn. Going to be lots and lots of support for that Malthael, but also lots of support for that Vala. So we'll see which one wins out here. Should be an interesting matchup, that's for sure. Creatures of the Night looking to pull this one to a game 3. We are loaded in here to Tomb of the Spider Queen. On the left, Creatures of the Night, Danu. I'm going to be playing the Vala. I'm still struggling on it. His Lolium. Going to be playing the Ariel. Gangsta Face on the Johanna. Kakarot. Going to be playing the Chromie. And Never Sleep. Going to be playing the Tassadar. On the right, it is Team LizHorn up 1-0 in the series here. Couch going to be playing the Kael'thas once again. Defender on the Uther. Tanzer Going to be playing the Anubarak. The Wade going to be on Rhaegar. And Ryan Rod going to be on the Malthael. Solo lane should end up being Malthael versus Tassadar. All the while, we're going to end up seeing a 4-man rotation here. I'd say the 4-man rotation should probably favor the side of Team LizHorn a little bit. They do have better wave clear potential. They have good, solid engage potential. And they have more CC. The kind of things you really want to see in your team if you are trying to clear these waves quickly and rotate out. But actually, the side of Creatures of the Night, able to get that wave cleared, be able to rotate up pretty much for free. You can't forget about Johanna in the wave clear game. It's also going to be able to be bold enough to walk right into the middle of Team LizHorn and pick up all of those gems on the floor. Both teams will go ahead and prioritize rotating once again. Kakarot actually having some nice wave clear potential with that sand. The Circle of Sand. I don't know what the ability's name is. I apologize. Chromie, really. Good solid poke there. Coming out onto Couch. Nothing that the double healer comp though of the side of Team LizHorn can't eventually heal up here. Gangsta Face though getting in there with that condemn. Look at the poke out onto Tanzer. He's going to end up going down here. All of a sudden, Team LizHorn got to be careful here. The Wade gets poked down. Kakarot throwing out the abilities. Solid hero damage coming out so far from both Chromie and Vala. It's going to give lots of healing power over to our Ariel player as well. Kakarot with that sneaky rotation to the bot. Rhaegar going down in the top lane. Nothing left but his totem, from what I can tell. And here I thought Team LizHorn would be able to win out on the rotational game, but tell you what, Creature of the Night proving me wrong. They are definitely winning the rotations. Starting to turn in those gems as they are dominating the rotation game. Spikes not quite in time. Hero Physio with the host. Thank you very much, my friend. Welcome, everybody. So we're watching probably some solid Heroes of the Storm content themselves. I think Hero is actually casting Chair League tonight as well, so welcome. Anyone joining up. You got Creatures of the Night and Team LizHorn here in Division 2 facing off. First map there on Infernal Shrines. Team LizHorn was able to be victorious, but so far in this one, Creatures of the Night having some solid wave clear potential here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Dominating the rotations and dominating the gem turn-in the top lane right now. Gangsta Face getting in there with the condemn, and the Wade gonna have to wolf his way on out of trouble here. Both teams gonna reset and try and get back to the rotation game. The side of Creatures of the Night slowly creeping their way towards that turn-in. Gangsta Face gonna toss another 8 into the gem pool here. And while the side of Team LizHorn trying to rotate to the bot to try and secure a turn-in, but Creatures of the Night not gonna have any of that. Solid poke potential here from the Chromie. Constantly going to be able to throw out Denial. Just 14 gems away here. Tanzer are going to get in there, though, on the Anubarak and break things up in the top. Prevent that turn-in for the moment. Pretty tame so far, not a whole lot of picks. In the bottom lane here. Ryan Rod, worse for wear here, never sleep. Dominating the solo lane for the moment. Both teams definitely wishing they can get the turn in here. Slight XP advantage to the side of Creatures of the Night. Most of that can probably be explained, though, by that by those couple of picks they've gotten. They will eventually rotate up the Tassadar. He'll get that turn in completed. It's going to be a nice advantage rolling into the 10 talent tier here for Creatures of the Night. They're going to be able to get at least some siege damage done, probably get some of these turrets and XP. They are splitting out to the lanes so that they can soak. Make sure to get every single one of these minions as the web weavers come down. Gangsta Face just being annoying here in the mid. Again, sticking around in the middle just to make sure they get that, but also doing a nice job of keeping Tanzer and Defender busy here. Meanwhile, KT falling in the top lane. He's going to probably reset his convection stacks, and indeed, it's going to be a rough moment here for the side of Team LizHorn. And without KT, that's a lot of their anti-siege damage. The Wade also getting very low, and the Chromie Kakarot from downtown. Gonna leave a whole bunch of gems on the floor there. That'll be the 4th pick going over to the side of Creatures of the Night. And I was saying that there's going to be an advantage going into the level 10 talent tier. Well, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Creatures of the Night have level 10 picked up now. Going to be able to pretty effectively zone for these turn-in locations. They are only 3 gems away at this point from having yet another turn-in. And there it is. They have enough. They just got to go forth and do. And that is exactly what they are planning to do here. Tassadar still holding on to many of those gems, though. Rotation coming into the bot. Never Sleep's going to see this coming. Rotation comes down. Detainment strike onto Tanzer. They are starting to dive in after him. The Wade seems to be the main focus, though. They're able to effectively push them out of this turn-in location, and meanwhile, Never Sleep has all the gems they need for a second turn-in. Still about half a level. Never mind, they're chunking that XP up, but they're very close to level 10 here. Oh, but the Wade gets hit by another Detainment Strike and Condemn. Gangsta Face. Not having the Blessed Shield. Otherwise, that would have been a dead doggy. Oh, they are pushing out in the bottom lane here. Under Dragon. Thank you very much for the follow. Second set of Web Weavers coming down. Level 10 is here, but what are they really going to be able to do with this level 10? Ryan Rod goes in, is going to pop the ult here, gets the D shield, and look at the spread. I love how Creatures of the Night, very disciplined in how they spread out away from that Tormented Souls from Ryan Rod. They'll turn around, they'll start to poke, and all the while they're keeping all 5 members of Team LizHorn down here, unable to defend against the other Web Weavers. This mid Web Weaver getting some work done on this mid fort. While as soon as Team LizHorn rotates away, the mice will play. Creatures of the Night will be able to take down that bottom fort. And then again, as soon as they go up to that top Web Weaver, they've got this mid fort just waiting to be taken down. And Tanu knows this, even willing to take a couple of pokes in. That's going to be all 3 forts going down for Team LizHorn. Level 13, just a smidge away here. Got a long road to get another turn in, however. But I would say that's pretty value for the first 2 turn-ins of the game. That's solid. That's what you want. Both teams going to almost mirror each other here on the rotation out. However, 5-man rotation to that camp. They'll pick it up a little earlier. But look at the discipline from Creatures of the Night. They are going to make sure they have eyes on both of these turn-in locations. Not going to let LizHorn get any sneaky rotations in to get the turn-in. We've got eyes on the top one already, though, from that Chromie time trap. any little bit of vision that you can get on this map is a really big deal. Knowing where your opponent is, I mean, it's important on every map. So look at this. They see the passive play coming out from LizHorn and the fact that they don't have 13. And they know they don't have vision of where they are, so they'll rotate up directly to the boss. This is eventually going to be scouted out, but the team is too split to really be able to do anything about it. They'll say thank you very much for the extra poke onto the boss, Ryan Rod. Team LizHorn rotates up, but they're just a little bit too late to be able to do anything about this boss attempt. Nice wave clear coming in. That condemn combo with the chromie damage is very nice for wave clear. Meanwhile, full 5-man defense in the top here for Team LizHorn. They're going to try and take down this boss, but Creatures of the Night are here. We'll be able to stay fairly spread out here. Web Raft coming down will be blown up there by Never Sleep. Meanwhile, Ryan Rod going in deep, but again, all these ranged members not really able to focus on anybody. Just barely gets the Ancestral out there from the Wade. But they are still pushing the side of Creatures of the Night out, but the health bar is starting to get low. It's only a matter of time before they decide to turn around on this. A second kill, and now Defender going to be hit by the Condemn. Danu is on the case here. Gravity Lapse not going to be enough to zone for them. All the while, the boss has been chunking down this keep. KT will fall as well, and this is disaster for Team LizHorn here in game number 2. Death timer is still fairly low, so Creatures of the Night are going to think about it, but they're going to end up going back here. They're going to turn around, and eventually they're going to go ahead and vacate. We do have a 3-level lead, though. They're about to have level 16 right around the same time Team LizHorn gets to 13. They're in a really good spot. I like the call to not push your luck there. So close to level 16. No real reason for them to risk anything. They've got enough return in as well. They can continue to control this game rather than give Team LizHorn the opportunity to have a great team fight in their own territory back there. Be able to even out the level count a little bit. Don't enable your opponents to win. I see and hear Dreadnought often talking about how to lose the game. You know, how many different ways can you lose in this game? And I think one of those ways here for Creatures of the Night is to over pursue and give them picks here. So much more XP in those kills with the level advantage. They just back up. They get the Web Weavers. They're gonna push into the mid here. And this is a very hard situation for Team LizHorn to defend. Getting picks in this scenario, it's not going to be easy. The slowing sands going into zone, it's going to allow them to be able to poke pretty well onto the members. And Tanzer is going to have to back out. Ryan Rod taking a ton of poke damage as well. This mid keep is being sieged down, and the Web Weavers pushing in bottom. Couch taking a ton of poke, and he will end up going down to the Chromie poke at the end of the day. And this is a good opportunity for them to push in. The Web Weaver in top is here. Ryan Rod is going to go ahead and pop that Tormented Souls. Receives a very early Ancestral. And the D-Shield as well. Defender is the focus, though. Uther will end up falling. The Wade getting very low. And the core is under siege. All 5 members still somehow staying alive. And the double kill coming out from Kakarot. That Chromie combo damage, man. That is going to be it. The core is falling down. Game number 2. Going over to Creatures of the Night. They're going to take us to a game 3 here in this series in Division 2 Chair League. Solid game coming out there from Creatures of the Night. Just good macro play, good patience. I felt like they dominated early and they just never really let go. They were able to snowball 12-0. Not a particularly long game. About 14 minutes. I know the game timer's not there, but Luckily, we have our 1 minute delay with the replay up there, so I could see it lasted about 14 minutes. But just pretty flawless play overall coming out from Creatures of the Night. They're going to go ahead and even this series out 1-1. Should be map pick for Creatures of the Night, taking us to round 3. To see where exactly they want to take us. Let's look at some of these talent builds. I often don't find myself having time to talk about the talents when I'm solo casting, but pretty standard multi-shot build coming out from Danu. Whip talents here for his Leolum. Maybe I got that one. Even Converging Force, very interesting. Not a whole lot of stuff to blind though. I like that. Don't really need the blinding talent. I think the blinds never hurt because basic attacks are still damage no matter whether or not the enemy team is basic attack damage based. But Converging Force. Also helping them group up for the Chromie damage or the multi-shots. They had a lot of AoE damage. Archon coming out from Never Sleep. Going into that damage Tassadar build. Kind of an odd pairing. I don't see a whole lot of Uther and Rhaegar. But not quite able to keep up with that AoE damage. I felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities as well for the side of Team LizHorn. We saw that one moment there where the Ancestral came out super early onto Malthael. That was kind of a rough moment for them there. But we will see game number 3 going to Cursed Hollow. So this is a very macro-heavy game. Camps, always a huge priority. Split pushing heroes and globals, always very good. Game 3 hype coming in here. Seemed like two pretty evenly matched teams. I felt like the first game went kind of back and forth. And I will give credit to Creatures of the Night. I feel like they really came online in that game, too. So we'll see. Team LizHorn could come back and get some of that magic they were working up in that first game. Look, we got everybody in the lobby. Let's just confirm that everybody's ready. These guys are scooting right along. These teams are ready to go. Or at least one of these teams are ready to go. Good poke and interrupt potential, though, I think is really key on Cursed Hollow. A lot of what Creatures of the Night did there. It was more of an aggressive, in-your-face melee comp coming in from Team LizHorn in that last one, and just a really steady poke and backup comp there from Creatures of the Night. Especially, I'm reminded of that fight in the top lane when the side of Team LizHorn pushed on behind that boss. And tried to push him back, and you saw Creatures of the Night just back up and back up and back up. The sustain healing was real, the sustained damage, and eventually they got a couple picks and turned it around. So that kind of patient play can be really influential here on Cursed Hollow. You can't back up forever off of these tributes, but you can position yourself in a place where if you have a long-ranged poke damage like Chromie, it can be really good. All right, looks like both of our teams are ready. Game number 3, Cursed Hollow. Ready to go here. First pick, first band, Team LizHorn. Yeah, gotta be a nice advantage. It's worth noting that the team that has had first pick, first band has won both of the games in this series. And it could have been because of the Tassadar. I don't know. We'll see. Not wanting to see another Tassadar go over to Creatures of the Night. Team LizHorn will ban it out. I would expect it to Haka ban in return. But it could also be the Ariel or the Uther. We've seen a lot of Ariel and a lot of the Haka bans. to go with the plentiful amount of Tassadar bans in this format recently. Supports have been a pretty high priority in a world where there just aren't that many really aren't that many good solid supports in the game. You pretty much see a lot of Ariel, Rhaegar, and Uther. Anything else you see is a little bit strange. Rennie Godard, thank you very much for the follow. So the Dahaka ban is indeed the directions that we see Creatures of the Night go with. I expect both teams to prioritize their support here in the beginning. Ariel is up here if Creatures of the Night want to scoop it up for their first pick. We've also seen a lot of high priority on Anubarak in this format, as well as the high damage, high wave clear heroes. Wave clear not as important on Cursed Hollow as it is on some of the other maps, but wave clear is important on every map, of course, to a certain extent. So it is indeed going to be the Ariel pick to start this one off. Would expect to see Uther possibly being picked up here by Creatures of the Night, unless they want to go with the Rhaegar for this game. It is an option. And the Rhaegar doesn't necessarily have to be prioritized super high. Nubarak still on the table as well. Vala could be an option, but without the Tassadar, it's kind of rough to play the Vala. Malthael Genji still an option, so we could see maybe an Uther and a Genji coming out here. But yeah, quite a few options. We might get a small idea of what Creature of the Night are wanting to do here. This is their map pick, so I would expect them to have a plan for what they want to draft. Varian and Greymane. Alright, so good focus potential, which can be kind of hard for Ariel to deal with before level 10, because no cleanse. But Crystal Aegis is a pretty good answer to high single target focus comps. If you see somebody get taunted and you see that the Greymane's in place, you can get the Aegis out before the Cursed Bullet comes and all the follow-up damage. Give your team a second to respond and get in on that focus target to help defend them. So I would expect the healer chokehold to be applied pretty hard here by the side of Team LizHorn. We'll go ahead and get the Vala to pair with the Ariel for that Ariel battery. Good hope generator. Falstad also just in general good for the global. It's also really good engaging and disengaging. Falstad's mainly good for disengaging. The flyover gust play is a thing that happens, but it's pretty risky, especially against a high focus comp where Greymane can just dive back on you. But mainly it's good for controlling engages. When you no longer want an engage to be a thing, you just use gust. So that could be a really good counter to the taunt variant and the hard engage that we're starting to see Creatures of the Night build. It's not too late for them to change directions a little bit, but see what they want to ban out here. Stitches once again. Not wanting to deal with that displacement. Not really a whole lot of good Stitches follow-up potential for Team LizHorn, but, you know, I respect that Stitches is a good hero in general right now in the meta. Abathur Hover here from Team LizHorn. Abathur is a pretty good hero on Cursed Hollow. I always joke that this is the home of Abathur, because Cursed Hollow on this big map, where you've got these big map objectives that you can pretty much expect teams to rotate to. So Abathur can get a little bit safer in the body soaking game, double soaking, getting that extra XP. It's also a map where you can give up the map objectives to an extent and not worry too much. So Abathur, there's a lot of strength in that. Plus double grain main, that's just plain scary. So I really like the ban out here from Team LizHorn. I feel like they have won the first half of this draft. We'll have to see what they want to complete their comp with. Ideally, you want a second support for the Vala. Even more ideally if it's something that can shield, like a Zarya. Zarya also really good on this map for the denial potential on the tribute turn-ins. Could also be something that Creatures of the Night are looking at, though, for that Zarya. Greymane certainly doesn't mind having a little extra shielding when he goes to dive in. They could also go with a more reset-heavy comp. Uther still on the table. Look at that. Tyrande and Stukov coming out. Didn't see that one coming. Gotta be honest. The Tyrande have good ranged poke potential. Can have solid denial from these tributes, even from across the map. Stukov also good for zoning and area denial. And in general, it's just good sustained healing. The Artanis coming out here from Team LizHorn, along with Diablo. So there's your front line, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a solo support Ariel. Again, well-rounded comp for Team LizHorn. There are some things about it I don't like. I'll be honest. The solo support Ariel is always a little bit rough. And if you can get in and disrupt Vala, then you're not getting that hope generation. You're not getting a lot of healing. And it can be rough. But with Artanis and Diablo up front, it's going to be difficult for the side of Team LizHorn to put a lot of pressure on the Vala. Arthas is going to be the answer here. So, solo assassin Greymane. Though Tyrande plays more like a ranged AA hero now. That's really how a lot of people build her. So Stukov is going to mostly be doing the supporting. Tyrande is going to be filling the role that we normally see from, a Vala or Tychus or Raynor. Mostly going to be about getting that AA damage out. Tanzer on the Artanis will be able to hurt them a little bit, though, with the blind talent. That level 10 ultimate. The name of which I'm forgetting at the moment. I don't know. Blind's in a big circle. We all know what it is. Either way, should be a good one here. Game number 3. It's another good map that I like Diablo for as well. A lot of terrain for you to charge people into here on Cursed Hollow. And we are loading in for game number 3. On the left, Creatures of the Night, Never Sleep. Going to be on the Tyrande. Danu, going to be on the Greymane. Gangsta Face on the Varian. Kakarot on the Arthas, and oh Lord help me, Hizoleum going to be on the Stukov. On the right, Team LizHorn. Couch going to be playing the Vala. Tanzer on the Artanis. Defender going to be playing the Falstad. Ryan Rod on the Diablo, and the Wade going to be playing Ariel. And right away we see both teams committing in the mid. 5-man. Where is the owl? There it is. Nails Tanzer. Couch gonna throw out the Hungering Arrow in response, and right away the AA heroes showing you their personalities. First Lunar Flare will miss. We see that Lunar Flare talent at level 1, very standard. To try and get some extra damage out when they get the stun combo out. Should be interesting to see the blow up potential once level 10 rolls around and we see the taunt come out with the Greymane dive in potential and the Tyrande follow up. I shouldn't have too hard a time blowing somebody up. And that's the big counter to the Artanis being able to get the CC out. Speaking of Artanis, we'll see him rotating to the top. Tanzer, gotta be careful here. Stun will come out and only hitting Ryan Rod there. Tanzer not quite stepping into it there. Swap out, just barely missing Never Sleep, able to sidestep that. We see a 2v1 in the mid. Gangstaface gonna have a hard time answering to that. It's still the 2 for 3 in the top though. Stun will once again hit Ryan Rod and the focus damage is real. First blood going over to the side of Creatures of the Night. You're gonna be able to get a lot of wall damage there as well. Take down that tower. Meanwhile, we see Tribute spawning in the bot. The new, maybe a little bit late on the rotation to that camp, but if we see a good stall out here from Creatures of the Night, they might start seeing some good dividends paying from that camp. He's going to be able to tap and come in here full health, full mana, and Kakarot is here to zone out for the beginning, but definite rotational advantage for Team LizHorn, but Ryan Rod stepping out a little bit too far. They do end up getting the tribute in response, though. You get that quick tribute. Tanzer, though, is going to end up paying as well. And right away, we see the focus potential here for the side of Creatures of the Night. All the while in this top lane. Front wall being chunked down. And look at the instant rotation here. Good shot calling coming out here from Creatures of the Night. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little jealous. Wish our team was that coordinated. We'll get there, we'll get there. But the side, Creatures of the Night quickly rotating to grab that camp. We are now seeing Artanis grabbing the siege camp in the bot. Better late than never, I suppose. And, you know, with this one being in the top, it's not the worst thing that ever happened to him. This will be pushing in the bot lane. Defender can actually stay down here until he's ready to fly up. Positional advantage on this tribute for the side of Team LizHorn. They're going to be looking to pick up their second tribute of the game. Gangstaface getting in there. The Owl actually just a bit outside. Well, both camps are marching on into their respective lanes. There's going to be a good amount of siege damage coming. Here comes Creatures of the Night. They are grouping in. They're able to slow down the Diablo's advance. The Wade is going to be the next focus target. The new rolling on in there. He's going to be able to get a pick onto the Ariel, and they are trying to rotate up and out into this fort area. But Never Sleep able to hit the Lunar Flare. Right now, Creatures of the Night looking unstoppable in this one. Going to rotate in and steal this Bruiser camp, which was not picked up on this last rotation. Worth noting that in the bottom lane, the siege camp is starting to get a lot of work done down there. Bruisers picked up, and now we got double Bruisers in this mid lane. Lots for Team LizHorn to have to clean up here. Oh, and Vala's got to watch out here. Couch being rotated on is able to roll to safety. While the side of Team LizHorn just worried about cleaning this up in time. Defender down in the bot trying to help the siege camp get some value. Kakarot coming in. Maybe try and clean this up a little bit. We see the positional advantage for the side of Creatures of the Night on this tribute spawn, but 3 of them are in the top still. It's going to be a long rotation here. But with the Toronto Owl, they do have the ability to stall this out a bit. And 3 members in the top. Team LizHorn not even looking at coming to this one. Completely conceding it. Got 3 members in the top trying to get some value, though. Are they making a boss call? I think they're making a boss call. Boss call confirmed. Both teams, actually, going ahead and making the same mirrored boss call. But I do like the call a little bit more from Team LizHorn. They know they've got a long way to go before the 10s are in. So they go ahead and put 3 people on the boss. Put 2 people out in lane so they can get a little bit more soak. It's going to give them a little bit of XP makeup here, but still about half a level lead for the side of Creatures of the Night. Getting this front wall, we're going to see level 10 come in. Ultimate selections coming in hot for Creatures of the Night. Oh, and the taunt comes in on Defender. No follow-up, though. Feels bad, man. I felt like he had a pick laying there. Either the new or Never Sleep were ready. Both teams trading out forts here, which also a very positive exchange for Team LizHorn. They're going to end up getting 10 off of this. They also have Falstad in the bot to be able to clean up the rest of that boss, and he can fly in. Kakarot with the flank, though. Gangsta Face also back here. But right away, we see the focus down onto Ariel. The Wade having to walk out of that lurking arm from Stukov before he can get any heals down. They are able to somehow survive it, though, with that Mighty Gust zoning. And they are turning around and getting a ton of damage. The Greymane ends up being the first to fall. Diablo goes down in response. But this fight is definitely going over to the side of Team LizHorn. They are chasing them out of here. Varian will fall, and Defender not going to be able to catch Never Sleep with that extra run speed there from the Shadow Stalk. Meanwhile, Boss able to clean up that whole front wall. And off of a 1-for-3 exchange here, we see Team LizHorn catching up. Just as I was about to say that they were looking unstoppable in the team fights for Creatures of the Night. Level 10s come in, and Team LizHorn takes the opportunity to prove me wrong. Get a big win there, even out the tribute count. And this next trib will be the final trib for a while, no matter who wins it. Curse point on the line. Let's take a second to look at some of these heroics. Now that I see the symbol, I see that it is indeed Suppression Pulse coming out from Tanzer. Reign of Vengeance coming out for that extra CC potential. Massive Shove coming out from Creatures of the Night. Looking to try to zone somebody away. It is indeed the Cursed Bullet for that extra focus off of the taunt. Stukov Lurking Arm able to zone out that trib for a little bit. Root coming down onto the Ariel. The taunt as well. The focus was real, but the Gust able to help them disengage that first bit. The Lurking Arm, though, nice silence. Many members getting low, and Tanzer will be the first to fall here. Ryan Rod goes back in with the low health, trying to get some kills, trying to set something up. Couch dives in and is able to get 1 pick to be able to finish off another 2. Defender alone here against the 2 front lines. Can he make something happen here? Diablo is also coming back into this. The taunt, he will go back. Wow, the camp pickup in the bot is a really big deal, but Ryan Rod is back now. No souls, but full health. Oh, Gangsta Face trying to finish off Defender. Oh, man. Oh, and Varian ends up falling in the mid. Yeah, it was Tanzer. I'm sure it was Tanzer. Both teams starting to file back in. Curse going over to the side of Team LizHorn. Able to win that team fight by just enough. They only got to win it by a tiny bit. Full 5-man rotation to the mid here. They are going to be winning the race to level 16 by quite a bit here. Meanwhile, the side of Creatures of the Night trying to look to see if they can defend this front wall. Full 5-man commitment, which means the outer lanes will start pushing. Actually, it's 4-man commitment. Arthas is in the bottom lane. They are successfully starting to poke down the health bars. Defender very low, will just barely be able to barrel roll out there. Ryan Rod also super low. We see the Gust come out to try and help them disengage, but Couch is in all kinds of trouble. The front line, you can tell they wanted to go back to try and help, but you knew they just would be feeding in more kills into the maw of Creatures of the Night. The waves are stacking up on the outer edges, though. A lot of XP right down the tubes there, as they are going to go for boss instead. I like this, though. Put the Vala down, 5 members up. They're going to go ahead and rotate in and force them to fight before the 16, which is really key. Kakarot maybe zoned a little too far here. And we do see the rotation. They're going to leash the boss. The Aegis comes down to be able to save Ryan Rod, but can he get the heals out? The way going in too far to have to try and heal Diablo. Diablo will fall, and the Wade is soon going to follow him into the grave. That was a rough team fight for Team LizHorn, but again, that brilliant force from Creatures of the Night. They knew that they needed to force a fight. They knew they were going to take some structure damage, but they get exactly what they were looking for. A 4 for 5 engage that Vala doesn't come back into quite fast enough. For sure Kakarot was dead out that far, but nice response from Creatures of the Night. You can tell these guys have spent some time playing together because they've got all kinds of good synchronization with their team. They'll steal that boss, which will push a little bit in the top lane. They'll be able to safely rotate out and start soaking all of these lanes that are pushed in so far. Be able to get to the level 16 talent tier in time for this next tribute to come out. Full rotation in here from Team LizHorn. They knew they had 16. They knew they wanted to force something with it, but not quite able to do it. That lurking arm will zone them out for the moment. And again, willing to leash the boss. Uh-oh. This time Kakarot's caught way out in downtown. And this time the team's not going to be able to rotate in time to save him. 2-man Lunar Flare coming in by Never Sleep, but ultimately it's just going to be a game of retreating here. 30 seconds still down on that Arthas. Right now Team LizHorn can turn around and take the boss, and that's exactly what they're going to do. But kind of a rough rotation here in the tribute. 10 seconds until that's up. Defender can fly up there. But with the scouting, Creatures of the Night are going to know that it's not going to be all the members up here. So they should be able to get free curse here. Yeah, sure enough. We see the full rotation in here from Team LizHorn to the bot. They're just going to refocus on getting the keep, but the keep in top is definitely going to go down. That huge wave, which followed up that boss. Meanwhile, many members of Team LizHorn going back. They do have the boss pushed in here into bot. They have Falstad back trying to clean up the other lanes, but suddenly those keeps are going to be in trouble. And is this going to get it? It will not. Not quite. The side of Team LizHorn electing to rotate out and clean up these lanes before their keeps are under too much assault. Already the bottom keep taking some serious damage. Front wall is going to be all but gone. That one minion, he's trying. He's trying. He got it. Minion MVP. Proud of that little blue minion. He fought so hard and he got his goal accomplished before a brave death to Artanis. And the damage coming out onto the Wade. The focus down on Ariel once again, but they're able to back out behind this double front line. APOC comes out. The flyover and the gust into the now active fort area. And a ton of damage coming out onto Ryan Rod. He's going to be the first to fall here. The response is good, though, as the double healer comp paying off here, and Defender almost getting Gangsta-Face. We'll get Arthas, though. Couch still on the pursuit here, not willing to let this go yet. But it ends up being a 1-for-2 exchange. Nice response there from Creatures of the Night. You know, if you get gusted in like that, sometimes your team will panic. They did not panic. They knew they had double support and had the ability to turn around. We got 2 picks off of that. Both teams going to go ahead and rotate out and start getting camps here. And this one is heating up here in game number 3. This one's going to go the distance, I think. Level 20s are going to be coming in. It's going to be an advantage, actually, for the side of Team LizHorn, because they've got their waves pushed out a lot further. They're going to be able to get some solid XP gains. They should be able to win the race to 20, depending on if anybody decides to team fight. 1 camp left on the map, and it is the hard camp here for the side of Team LizHorn. They'll scout that out with the Owl, and now seeing that Team LizHorn is not here yet, this gives the opportunity for an invade for Creatures of the Night. It looks like they're starting to head in that direction. We'll see the Owl. They get all the information they need. It looks like they're going to rotate around. And look at the patience from Team LizHorn. They know that this is not a favorable fight. They know that they're winning the race to 20. But Tanzer actually goes in with the swap. Might be a mistake. Defender trying to help him out with the gust. We will get Tanzer out of there here. APOC comes down, though. We'll be able to stun quite a few members in these corridors. Diablo's going to end up paying for it, though. They do trade out the Stukov, however. Right now a 1-for-1, but the Wade caught way out in downtown. Going to end up falling down here. Tanzer and that swap not quite hitting the mark. So we do reset Diablo's stacks. He comes back. It is going to be a 4v4, but look at the bottom lane. This camp is building up, and all of a sudden, we're going to see it keep going down in that bottom lane. Keeps down in each team's boss lane. Either team is able to steal a boss. They'll be walking directly onto the core of their opponents. Trib will be picked up by Creatures of the Night. But still 2 tributes before they're able to pick anything up. And I don't know, if I'm Team LizHorn, I'm using my level 20s to get on that boss ASAP. They go down and they ended up grabbing the vision there. That's some wasted time. They could have been taking down this boss. Level 20 is right around the corner for Creatures of the Night. Still probably not going to be able to rotate to it in time. But again, they're not going on it. Gonna let Creatures of the Night get level 20. Gonna get the information that they haven't started it yet. And Creatures of the Night starting to rotate in that direction. Team LizHorn starting the boss. The root and the stun coming down onto Artanis. The gust coming out, but they're still not going to be able to take this down in time. Tribute spawning right next to it, but they are able to get Danu in there in time. The taunt coming down, and APOC also a big deal in here. While a couple members going down on either side, deaths left and right, but it is going to end up being Creatures of the Night with the full team wipe. And that is going to be game. They're going to be able to march through this top lane. The GGs are coming out, and with a huge macro call, maybe a little bit slow on the rotations here for Team LizHorn. It is indeed going to be Creatures of the Night marching into that top lane, taking down the core, and taking this series 2-1. Finishing it out here on Cursed Hollow. Was a pretty epic series indeed. Definitely went the distance. But in the end, good shot calling, good macro calling from Creatures of the Night. They are able to take the series. Definitely a back and forth game there. I think either team wins that team fight and gets the boss, they can just march directly to the enemy team's core. But then the death timers were long enough, up around 60 seconds, that if it goes the other way, they can still go through. MG Burgie, thank you very much for the follow. Overall, though, good overall game from Creatures of the Night in that game 3. They definitely won the kill count. I felt like they had a very interesting comp. I like the double support. I love the Tyrande here on Cursed Hollow. But I love most of all the strategy there, the blow-up comp with Variant Taunt, Greymane, Cursed Bullet, and the Tyrande for the follow-up stun and the vulnerability. Not to mention the Stukov Silence. I think that's a very solid approach to how to play the game. Is you have a strategy that you want to employ, and you just do it over and over and over again. And that's exactly what they did. Team LizHorn, with the comp that they had in this game 3, again, there were a couple elements of it that I wasn't a huge fan of here. The solo support, Ariel in general, is kind of rough. Vala only having one healer in the Ariel to be able to help her, that can be kind of rough to try to enable a Vala for. Most of their playability was in the front line because the back line can't quite get in there far enough without getting locked down. So one of those frontliners would get locked down and blown up, usually the Diablo. And it just kind of ended up being a rough transition for him. But can't take anything away from Creatures of the Night. They executed really well in that game 3 and throughout most of the series, especially in that game 2. Felt like they completely dominated the game 2. Game 1 was pretty back and forth, but either way, congratulations to Creatures of the Night picking up a big win. Thank you to both of these teams for coming out and giving us a great show. And thank you most of all to all of you for coming out and having some fun with us here on Chair League. We're going to have more Chair League action throughout the evening, including my team playing a little bit later. But that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. I'll probably be on not casting, but just streaming and playing games a little bit later tonight. But for now, I will see you all later for more Chair League. Have a good night, guys.